Hey, ladies, let's take a look at metabolism, what it really is and what it's really not. Let's go. Hey ladies, Karen McCoy here, and I want to talk about a recent post that came out that some of you guys might have seen. It was by a certain coach down in the States, and he was talking about cardio versus weight training and how cardio produces more sweat, burns more calories. And so it's superior to, I'm assuming this was part of his summary, which he never quite summarized. It allows for greater weight loss. First of all, let's look at this because I get so tired of these 30-second sound bites, and that's what the fitness industry has become. 30-second sound bites that lure people in, that make it sound like you've missed this your whole life. Here it is. Or I'm going to help you like nobody else has ever helped you before. So the 30-second soundbite is forget about weight training. They have to lift and then they have to sit recovering. So there's not a lot going on there. And so the better calorie burner is cardio. Now, if we look at that, there is some truth to that. When you look at things like calorie burning or metabolism within a 24-hour window. But here's the deal with metabolism. Here's something else that's probably going to ruffle your feathers a little bit. Nutritionists are generally not metabolic specialists. It takes a long time to learn about metabolism, and metabolism is not about formulas. It's not about numbers. Those things matter. Sure, you can't eat 3,500 calories, ladies, and expect to lose weight. So you do have to get the basics under your belt. But once you get the basics, we have to move into more sophisticated conversations. And when we look at metabolism, we have to understand the inside out approach, not the outside in. So the reason that I got into metabolism so strongly about 6 or 7 years ago, I am a sports nutritionist. I've been one for a very long time. I'm at the master's level. I've also walked the walk for 4 decades, 35 years. And so I have seen my body and the thousands of women that I have coached over the years. I have trained them and taught them a certain way in their 20s and my 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. It's a very different game indeed. What I don't like is when coaches or nutritionists start talking to women like they've got a third eye, or like they're the ones that are the lost cause. It doesn't really matter, because if you notice, most gyms are not really accessing and serving up to the older woman. When I say older, it's 35 and above. I know you guys in your 30s are like, what? That's not older. I agree, but that's when the body starts to change. So there is a lot of science behind that, but I have also lived it. So what I did in my 20s and my 30s changed in my late 30s, really changed in my 40s, and definitely changed in my 50s. When I went back into show in my early 50s, what I recognized was how much my body had changed. My metabolic responses had changed. What I did before didn't necessarily work. I had to tweak it a different way, and I'm heading into show. And I've got 5 or 6 months to lose the weight. And what I didn't want to do was I didn't want to do the rebound, which I see so many competitors doing the rebound, and so many women on diets that lose the weight and do the rebound. So the research around that is there, but you really got to look between the cracks. Why is it that your set point changes? Your set point is where your body naturally holds weight, right? So in your 20s, it might have been like 120 pounds. In your 30s and 40s, it crept up and crept up. There's a few factors that are going on here. You're losing muscle, your lifestyle's changed, and you probably don't recognize it. If you've got a sitting job, it really does play havoc with your metabolism. But also your set point has changed because you didn't know what to do to keep it strong along the way. And so what's happening is research is coming out, and it's very scanty, but research on women like myself and other women who have weight trained for 2, 3, 4 decades and haven't stopped. So not a cardio or not endurance based, because there's a lot of research on that, because that's predominantly what women were doing. But research on the building the musculoskeletal system, and it's a different process than the cardiopulmonary system. They're two very different things. And so what is the research on women like us as we get older? That's starting to come in, and the news is fantastic. And what it does show is metabolism changes very little in those women who have used weight training over the years. Those that have done a cardio endurance based, they have different kinds of injuries, they have different recovery, they have a different aging process. It looks different at the other end, and a metabolic response, which is usually down regulated. So this is the research that we've used on women for years, because we didn't have any other research. But us weight training women are coming up, and we're changing things, because now they're looking at us going, oh yeah, okay, well, let's do research on this unique group, because we're different in our other women counterparts. Nothing is good or bad, nothing's right or wrong, it's just different. But when you talk metabolism, so what I see in women is there's a mindset still in metabolism where it's all about calories and it's about weight loss. So first of all, let's not talk weight loss. Okay, it's not weight loss, it's fat loss. We don't want you to lose weight, because weight loss means the scale rules, and that has messed up women for decades. What it means is we could be losing muscle, which generally happens unless you put the stress on the muscles. It has to be individual muscles. Hiking and biking and tennis are lovely, but they're activities. They're not specific exercise. And exercise is very area specific. If you want to keep your tight shoulders, if you want to keep tight biceps, if you want to keep your pecs nice and strong, chest. If you want to work on your back, you have to have area-specific training. So hiking and biking is not going to hit those areas. So that's where metabolism can slow down, because you're losing your muscle mass. Over the age of 50, you can lose up to 35% of your muscle mass unless you specifically keep it on with weights. So that's one big part of weight training. So when we look at cardio burns more calories, okay, but that's a 50-minute event. And then we talk about the afterburn. Well, let's forget about the afterburn. Let's think about the after training and going into life for the next 2 or 3 decades. The metabolic responses around building and maintaining muscle is what stokes metabolism. But metabolism is also not about the calories and the formulas. And that's where women are caught up in cardio and calories or diet plans. I had one client who, when I go into my metabolism course, I always ask women, I want them to write out what their diet history has been like. There's commonalities, but I really want to know who I'm working with here. And I see a lot of common conditioning and thought patterns in there. And one woman had, get this, 22 diet books sitting on her bookshelf. I get it, right? How many do you have? I'm probably certain that there's quite a few there. Have they served you? No, they're a blink of an eye in a massive storm. And they're not going to serve you. And if they have served you, then you're living lean at 16, 18, 20% body fat, and you have done for years, and you've kept your muscle and your shape. Kudos to you. Then you're doing something right. But if not, those diet books are just creating havoc. And what happens is there's such an emotional response. It puts you into shame and guilt, and then you downgrade yourself and you take in more food and less activity. And then a few years later, you're going to do it again, and you come back in and you do it again, and you last for a bit. And then again, it slips away. The reason it slips away is because of the way your conditioning is, your thinking patterns. And this is where we have to look at our beliefs and sabotaging, and we have to create habits that change how you think. The average diet has you thinking about food all the time. And you shouldn't be thinking about food all the time. And you also should not be eating differently than you would eat in a normal lifestyle. But that we have to bring that into line. Do macros matter? You bet they do. But it doesn't matter if you're eating 20% protein or 35% protein, or people on their apps that use like 2 or 3% out. Oh my God, I'm out. Or I can't go out to dinner because I filled my macros. That's insanity. Ladies, do you want to live like that? You don't have to. But this is what's come up. And then, of course, we have other diets that I won't mention because I don't want all the emails where you can take in a lot of fat and teach your body how to burn the fat, right? And preserve everything else. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So this is what's happening. And if you're losing weight on that diet, it's because you've cut your calories, but it's not going to stay. You cannot teach your body to take in a certain macronutrient and go, oh, well, we used to put it into fat storing, but hey, now because you've got different percentages, we're going to put it over here into burning. It biochemically does not work. So what we have to look at when it comes to metabolism is we have to have a new conversation. We have to have a new understanding, something that is sustainable for life. Metabolism, if you look up the definition of metabolism, it's not even about fat loss. It is about how, and there's different Webster and Merriam and all these different websites have a different definition, but nobody talks about fat loss because it's not about fat loss. Really, we have adopted that. And now we have made it trendy to talk about metabolism boosting foods. Really? So if I drink 10 cups of green tea, am I going to lose that 10 pounds? No, we already tried that. Acai berries, that was like 3 or 4 years ago with Dr. Oz. That stuff is lovely if you want to eat that way. And if it moves you towards a whole food diet, that's great. Whole foods are still going to trump liquid diets. And liquid diets do not help the body to have to work to digest. That is research at its best. That is a basic function of every body that people need to know. That's a starting place. That should not be an aha moment. But they make it an aha moment. And then we throw in cleanses and detoxes and oh my God. You want to see metabolism downregulate and surrender itself. Give yourself a detox or a cleanse for anything over a day. And then what happens is everything softens and you step on the scale and you're like, yes, I've lost 5 pounds. But that 5 pounds is mostly water because for every gram of carb, you're holding 4 grams of water. That's why a lot of competitors talk about going flat. And this is why we look at refeeds and cheats, which are 2 very different things, guys. And I don't give cheats to women unless there's certain parameters in place. I have to look at their biofeedback. And that takes time. And when you start seeing yourself going flat, as we call it, it's because the carbs are coming out and everything's kind of loose and you don't have that pump. That means you're carb depleted. And if you're carb depleted, you are not going to maintain your muscle. That is, again, science. And you need to have carbs and fat, but mostly carbs, in order to build and maintain lean muscle protein. So this is where we get into a lot of the diet philosophies because they're short-term windows. And we have to recognize that metabolism does not happen in a 24-hour event. Metabolism is day after day after day after day after day, week after week, month after month. Sometimes it'll take women 6 months to a year to get their metabolism back to a place of strength and responding properly. So what metabolism is, the food comes in, but the other nutrients come in. Hydration, vitamins and minerals, water, pure water too, thoughts, right? And our lifestyle, the challenges and the stress, the toxins, because stress is a toxin creator too. So we have this toxic response that goes into our 2 billion cells. That's why one masterful coach has taught many, many people don't eat when you're around people you don't like. Because science has shown that the metabolic workings on the inside of the body change. So the body does not digest and assimilate and progress and go out to the system in the proper way. It creates a cascade of toxic chemicals that mimic when you're scared and they stay with you. And so what happens is the body can't metabolize properly. So everything starts to try to manage for everything else, and then you get this stunted process in the body. So metabolism is about the environment within, the chemical, hormonal, biochemical processes and the environment, the landscape in the body, so that when food sustenance does come in, and it's quality sustenance in a way that has it's averages, it's not specifics, guys, because that's going to create a numbers game in your brain that is going to create more stress chemicals, going to create more of a cortisol result, right? And cortisol, by the way, is not bad. We need cortisol. However, now people are going, oh, the cortisol result diet. We have to get, you have the muffin top because you have excess cortisol due to stress. Maybe, but that's only one part. And it's not what happens as you age. So stop throwing everything into the age wastebasket. Stop throwing, you have hormones, that's the problem. You don't have hormones, that's the problem. You're aging, that's the problem. No, guys, talk to us women like we're adults, because we are, and we deserve a different way. So don't talk to me about formulas. Don't tell me I have to go on the machine and look and see I need to burn 250 calories or whatever, and then that's going to save me. Because do you want to be on that machine for the rest of your life? What happens is when we don't approach our lifestyle, our eating and our training and our mindset in a certain way, we are always teaching our body how to respond. And metabolism is the same way. And so if you're teaching your body that you have to do an hour of cardio 3 times a week to keep the fat off, it's going to comply. The moment you stop doing that, and I have seen this for many years, the moment you stop doing that, the body starts to add on, because you've taught it the only way to stay down at that set point is by doing that much cardio. I always say, whatever you do has to be sustainable for life. Do you want to do that action for life? For me, I minimize cardio. We do metabolic enhancement training, and I do a lot of outside activity, but I will not go on another cardio machine ever, because it's not serving me. It's downregulating my metabolism. It's also taking away my precious time. So I always say to women, if all you've got is 20 minutes and you're going into a gym, choose weights, choose weights, choose weights. Because you need to build and maintain, and that takes time. The cardio may burn 150 calories, but you can put it on like that with a coffee and cream. You can put on 3 times that with a Frappuccino, or 4 times that. So please be aware that your daily habits and how you view things is more important, because when you change your thinking, change your life. Change your story, change your life. When you change how you view food, when you change how you view lifestyle, when you change how you view what's happening in the fitness industry, because the fitness industry is not the health industry. When you start seeing that, you can use critical thinking, and I think critical thinking has been lost on the majority of the population, to tell you the truth. And we need to bring women back into a place of trusting what they see and understanding what they're summarizing as the truth, and looking at it and going, that doesn't make sense to me. So we need to go back and we need to look at the body, this lovely vessel of yours, as the best thing on the planet. It is an amazing piece of machinery, and it is doing everything in its power to try to keep you healthy, and it's us that keep taking away from the machinery. And it's us that keeps thinking that we can usurp it, that we know better. In my training program, my Warrior Woman program, whether it's individual or whether it's group, we train and eat with the seasons. The body changes. So what I'd like women to do is understanding the workings of true fat loss, true metabolism as an inside-out event, not an outside-in event, managing and enhancing that internal environment so that what you put into it then works, so that you can eat and eat well, and your body knows what to do with it in the proper way. It doesn't try to overrun things because you've created bad habits, and it just naturally goes back to those bad habits, to ways of reacting and being, so your metabolism can get down-regulated pretty fast. That's what happens with plateaus. There's a whole science behind plateaus, and plateaus are not negative. Plateaus are a necessity in the weight loss journey. But unfortunately, we want to go from A to B in a straight line. Have you ever gone anywhere in a straight line? making money, being in a marriage, parenting. Has it ever been that clear? No. So why would we think it would be the same in fat loss? So we have to understand, and having plateaus and having little blips along the way, even when you fall off and you start beating yourself up, that is the opportunity to learn. It's amazing. You don't really learn as much about metabolism and fat loss when you're a competitor, because you're on the go the whole time. And very few competitors, when they know they're going up on stage in a bikini this big, rarely do they fall away. Or if they fall away, it's not bad. It might be a donut. Oh, right? But those opportunities for learning and growth is only when you mess up. It is not when you stay the same all the time. Perfection is just a reality. We're not meant to be, just an unreality. We're not meant to be perfect. We're meant to be whole. So when you fall away, when you feel those pains of shame and guilt after a binge, when you see your body plateau, then we can work back and go, okay, what happened here? That is where the real conversation comes. But in this society, women are taught that if they fall off a diet or they gain the weight back, I did something wrong. I did something wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. The industry is not serving you. And unfortunately, we have too many trainers and coaches coming out serving up that formula to aging women over 35 and not understanding. And here's the other deal, guys. As we move, as we grow, as we age, we have things going on that the average person can't understand. When people say age is just a number, that is a falsity. I think what they mean when age is just a number means get involved at any age because you can be successful. Absolutely. Absolutely. But when I say age is just a number is false, we have to train differently. I cannot train the way I did in my 20s and even 30s. Things change, and that is an aging process. It's inevitable. But when we learn to be in this entrainment with it, when we're on the same flow with it, instead of fighting it, the worst thing you can do is fight with yourself, because that creates a chaos in your brain, in your body, in the metabolic responses. So when we learn to move as one with our aging process and understanding it as a natural part of being alive, then we can become and live lifestyle athletes for life. That's what we want. And we can keep our shape and we can keep our tone and we can eat our foods and enjoy it. Do we have to have certain parameters? Sure. I'm sorry, you don't get to eat Twinkies all day and be able to function and look good and feel good and be vibrant and be pliable and flexible. So the Twinkie diet was an interesting diet. I can't remember if it was the 70s or 80s. You guys can maybe inform me on that. But it was basically a guy that ate Twinkies and lost weight. Well, yeah, but that's the basic formula, right? So eat less calories, lose the weight. I bet he didn't lose fat. I bet he lost muscle. So that is a big challenge with the aging woman too, is learning to understand that that muscle is creating not just the ability to burn fat. It's not just about the fat. It is creating a whole biochemistry in the body that allows when food comes in, it knows what to do with it in the proper way. It knows what has to go into building, healing, and repair. And it knows what can be available for fat burning. This is where we need to be, ladies. We need to focus in and work from here, and not the diet books, and not the calorie counts, and not the app. We're not supposed to live with an app on our hip all the time, right? This is just creating more OCD in women. So in my metabolism course, we go into all aspects, and I've only got 6 short weeks to change your life. But there's going to be a lot of change coming down the pipe, because for me, my quest on this planet is to change how aging women are viewed, and also how we view ourselves and how we show up and what we bring forward and what we understand about the aging process and how we can work with it. It's a beautiful thing to be an aging woman at this time on the planet, I'm telling you, because we are the change agents. We are the strongest, most intuitively aware and alive women on the planet. And I do believe that the planet is going to be healed by that force. There's a lot of forces that need to come into play, but we have a big responsibility to bring the feminine into healing. But we also first have to heal ourselves, right? As above, so below, as within, so without. We have to work on this, and that means healing body, mind, and spirit. So many people talk body, mind, and spirit, or they think you have to take a yoga class, go away and take a yoga class, go away and meditate. I don't have time for that. Do you? We don't need any more shoulda, coulda, woulda on our plate. What we need to do is learn to access that lovely power right here and right now. Step into it just by changing. I call it shifting, just by changing how you think. And we can do that with the foods we eat. We can do that with our focus and our outlook on exercise and training. If you're sitting there going, I don't have time, or God, I hate training, that's on you, right? You need to shift your inner world. I promise you this, when you shift the inner, everything else outside shifts, and you are in that lovely entrainment, that flow where you're with the universe, where you're with your body, where you're with building a strong, sexy, lean, metabolically alive vessel, because that's how we're supposed to show up in the world, ladies. And everything else is just noise. There is so much noise out there. So when I see a post like that, somebody saying, well, you got to sweat more to burn fat, I'm thinking this person is like in grade 1, right? When you look at the development of people, I'm looking at it going, okay, this person, but this person has clients. This person is out there teaching people that. And people are signing up and giving this person, I don't know if it's a male or female, money to be taught that. And it's just passing the lies on down the line. And it is time for us to get to the real deal. To live within ourselves, to live with passion and purpose and be enlightened and feel light and free. We should not be tied into cookie cutter eating plans. We should not be having to beat ourselves up because we missed a weigh-in. We should not be looking at it going, oh my God, I missed my cardio, or doing guilt cardio after a binge the night before. It's not serving us. If anything, I see women getting more obsessive compulsive, more disordered thinking around food, for sure, and more guilt and more shame. They're showing up in the gym like they've got it all together, but that is not happening. There is too much out there, and I always say that info is not knowledge. They're very, very different. So let's get to the quick. Let's live the life we're supposed to live within a body that functions well and serves us, and that stays strong and sexy and lean and performing well into our 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, because nobody dies from aging. People die from disease. They don't die from aging. So if you're a woman and you're over 35, you're aging in a way that you didn't age in your 20s and 30s, and things have to shift up. But more importantly, we have to shift how you show up in the world, what your understanding of fat loss and metabolism is, and working with, not against your body. All right, that's all I have to say about that. Ladies, have a lovely day today. And please, love yourself into health. Treat your body well. Ciao.